Hey, servant, real quick.
Yeah.
Do you know what utilitarianism is?
Give me a brief overview.
So utilitarianism is the belief that it's like a moral system where if it provides utility, it's good, and if it detracts from utility, it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Slavery has built the biggest civilizations in history and the most strongest civilizations in history. Why is it that you're going to sit here and say that slavery is wrong? If utilitarian wise, it's built the biggest, strongest
Oh,
society in history.
wait, no.
Slavery.
Wait. So, servant, I'm just trying to draw an analogy to between utilitarianism and subjective morality, such that you might be able to understand the objection. So, I assume if you don't know what utilitarianism is, you don't know what the repugnant conclusion is. Is that right?
Well, I did know what utilitarianism, but no, I don't know what the
So,
you cut out, but I don't know what that other word
Yeah,
is.
there's no need to call him repugnant.
yeah. So the repugnant conclusion is supposed to be a reductio for utilitarianism, and it's supposed to say, like, given world A, where a person lives a perfectly happy life, and world B, where two people live lives that are 90% worth living, a utilitarian is going to be committed to saying that B is the best world because it provides the most utility. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what you're saying.
So, just like so, then let's say you LARP as a utilitarian and tell me which one is the best for you. Okay, World One, a 95% worth living life. World Two, three lives that are 80% worth living.
Uh-huh.
Which one is the better world morally if you're a utilitarian?
I mean, it would tend to be leaning towards World B,
Yep.
but we don't get three lives.
No. I'm not making any corollary there. I'm just saying, like, okay, you just LARPed as you just LARPed as a utilitarian and you got the moral answer correct, right?
But that's with the conclusion that there is more time in life. That's with the conclusion that there are three lives. When you dumb it down to one life, you don't get three different lives to live at 80%.
Okay, then you're exactly right. Let me make another scenario then. World One, one person living a 95% worth living life. World Two, one person living a 20% worth living life. Which one is better under a utilitarian's worldview?
So World One has one person that lives in a good life,
Yep.
and World 90%, and then the second world has one person that lives in 20%
Yep.
worth living.
Yep. Which one do you think provides the most utility?
The World A.
Okay. So just like right there when you were LARPing as a utilitarian and you're saying what makes something moral is what provides the most utility. Now let's try a subjectivist worldview, okay? Let's say that world number one, right? Somebody thinks that like, I don't know, what do you think is bad? The unjustified chewing of brains on an infant or something, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So they think that is wrong, right? And then world B, somebody thinks that is correct. If instead of utility here, the truth maker is just going to be the preference of the utterer, are those worlds going to be one better, one worse, or equal?
I mean, it
What, just to clarify really quick, in world A, the person says, "I find myself with this preference to chew on babies, and that's why I think it is morally good." And then in world B, the person says, "I find myself to have a preference against people chewing on babies. That's why it's morally bad." Do you think that these worlds are one is better than the other from a subjectivist worldview, or are they equal?
Yeah, well, I guess I'd also say that. So, my after being, by the grace of God, my definition of utilitarian is different. Using the earthly, definition of utilitarianism, like, yes, it's going to be the eating babies earth that gives a more earthly utilitarianism effect.
Okay, so do you see right there how it was really easy for you to put yourself in the mindset of utilitarianism and get the answer right? But when I asked you to think about it from a subjectivist point of view, there was some dissonance going on there. You wanted to revert back to talking about God and objective morals and what utility really means for the earth and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the thing that we run into is that like the definitions of the earth have been.
Well, question real quick.
Yeah.
What is the standard by which you decide which one is actually the correct answer?
Oh, we're not talking about which one's correct. We're just talking about the fact that there are two different systems, and Servant is having trouble understanding the difference in one of them. What?
But you're saying he's making an You're saying objectively he's making the correct answer.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Like how?
he's giving the correct answer using a utilitarian's definition of the word good and bad. And then when I asked him to do the same with a subjectivist view of good and bad, he wanted to revert back to using terms like objectively good and God and the grounding for the earth and all that stuff.
Well, wouldn't it be like, because you're saying let's put ourselves in the mindset of like a subjectivist, right? And you have world A, where someone desires to eat baby brains, right? World B, someone desires not to do that, right? Well, under the subjectivist view, it would be like, what would be the better world, right? Well, that would be indexed to the person.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm saying that the right answer for the subjectivist would be that both.
They think a world a world in which they eat baby brains would be the better world from the subjectivist. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying that under the subjectivist framework, in this hypothetical, both worlds would be equally good.
Yeah, sorry. So I used the godly definition of utilitarianism for the first answer. The first answer using the worldly definition of, because God's answer of utilitarianism, right, is that love will change people and people is what matters, and that is, what we strive for is for, to help.
Wait, maybe this will clear it up then. What's God's definition of subjectivism?
God's definition of subjectivism?
Yeah, if God has a definition of utilitarianism, that's a way more like fringe view than subjectivism.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that God doesn't have a definition of subjectivism because that question in and of itself is a contradiction, because the idea of God is that a law or value has been given before a mind before human decided what was right and wrong. So to even say what is God's definition of subjectivism, it's a contradicting question.
Okay, so wait, I am confused though. Why hasn't that been your claim this whole time? You've been acting like some people are making morally incorrect statements. If you think that subjectivism entails a contradiction, why haven't you just been saying that? And also, if you think that a mind before humanity... wait, 1 second, I'm almost done. If you think that a mind before humanity made the definition of objective, wouldn't that just be mind-dependent, aka subjective, as standardly used in literature?
And to a degree, technically, it could be subjective to the point of God has defined the morals.
And really quick question, when you use subjective there, does that entail a contradiction, or are you using some different version?
Well, no, because subjective kind of, like humans can change their, right, I guess.
If it's rooted in God, it can't be subjective. What is this argumentation?
Yeah, I'm saying that subjective equals dependent on a mind.
They're subjective. Yeah, so the reason why it is subjective is... But no, yes, I understand that. I'm saying in terms of, like, human morals can be subjective because they can change, right? That's the point. So if
God, as the mind, decided what is good and bad, isn't that subjective?
Yes, and I understand.
If by subjective I just mean dependent on a mind.
I understand. God's law, God has set an objective morality that cannot change, right? So that in and of itself is not subjective because, like, yes, technically the way you want to look at it, it could be construed as subjective until you realize that it does not change, which makes it a moral absolute.
You said subjective is a
means
contradiction?
that there can be change. Yes, because
Okay, what
means
is
that morals can change.
what is the proposition and its negation under subjectivism?
Yeah, we're gonna have to define terms because I think both of you are using subjective differently.
Yeah, I'm saying subjective equals mind dependent. I'm saying God is a mind, therefore morality from either of our perspective will be subjective.
Okay, so
And servant, you already see where I'm coming from, because you say I could see how you want to say it's subjective, but you're not factoring this thing in. But from your worldview, subjectivism entails a contradiction.
no, in my worldview, subjective means that there is more than one, I guess, air quotes, correct morality, but that would then register all correct subjective moralities moot, because it would be, again, indexed to the specific person. There is no defining absolute of everybody knows on earth that one specific thing is wrong.
Can I ask you?
So,
Can I ask you two
again, you run
questions?
this issue with subjectivity, and you cannot sit here and say for sure that the thing is wrong if said morality is indexed to a single person.
Yeah.
Then if that single person says that it's okay to unalive somebody, they're not wrong.
But
Wait,
their
wait, one
subjective
second.
view.
is
One
it being
second.
objective when you don't use your feelings in your own thought?
Yes. So, and again,
Servant, really quick,
you run
really
into
quick.
this issue where the idea that you're trying to use of God comparing to subjective God has set an absolute moral, a moral absolute that does not change. It cannot be subjective because it does not change. Human morality can change, as we've seen by people that think that it's okay to unalive people, but yet us, bystanders watching, know that that's not wrong. So why is it that us watching are able to say, hey, that's wrong, whereas if it was subjective, we would just have to agree and say, yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, they're not wrong because it's indexed to them and they thought it was okay.
Servant,
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying, Servant, and I think I could actually agree. I think I know where you would go if you continue to expound on that, so I think I could agree with that.
yeah, servant, can I ask you two questions before we continue? Maybe this is a good stopping point, but maybe we could keep going. I don't know. What makes something...
I do. I'm gonna get off in a second here, but
Okay, yeah, my two questions. What makes something... what makes moral statements true under utilitarianism?
There. At the end of the day, there can be no moral statements that are true in utilitarianism, because utilitarianism just means to do whatever it is to provide the best utility to people. But there has to be a defining person that has defined what is best for said society.
Okay, then my question, I guess I'll rephrase. If you're a utilitarian, what makes moral statements true for you?
Well,
Let's
that's
let's just agree that they're confused. They don't know the Lord. They're confused. They're deranged. Whatever. If you're a utilitarian, what makes moral statements true to you?
Yeah, well, I'm not a utilitarian.
I know that you're not. Let's say I am. What makes moral statements true for me?
Well, that's the thing, is they're not, because you're basing
True or false?
What better serves?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're making.
What better serves? Hold on. Under a utilitarian view, right? What better serves the end, right?
Yeah.
They pursue would
Greatest well-being, right?
Or utility or some kind of rule utilitarianism. Yes, but what
has
makes
the greatest utility? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, servant, if I'm a utilitarian, what's going to make a moral statement true is that it provides a net positive utility over a net negative utility. And then I'm not very hopeful for the second question because of how that first question went, but my second question was just going to be, if I'm a subjectivist, what makes moral statements true? This is a test of your ability to put yourself in other worldviews, like an internal critique or something.
Yeah. So the thing with the utilitarian is,
I'm on subjectivism now.
Well, okay, but you didn't let me fully address the
Sure, go ahead.
utilitarian answer. So, at what standard is being defined by what is best for people? Like, where does
I
that
think
stand?
that's what's hold on. That's like we're not arguing that, right? Like we're just merely asking from like different perspectives within virtue ethics.
Yeah.
So all he's saying, like under the subjectivist view, right? What makes a moral statement true, right? Would be thus their preferences or desires.
Yeah, observers' attitudes.
Yeah, so like servant, we could cook up a kooky conspiracy theory moral code in a lab called like starburstism or something, where if it produces red starburst, it's good. That's what makes it true when we say that, right? So robbing a convenience store would be good because it has the ability to bring about red starburst, whereas like, you know, schmurdering isn't good because it, you know, that's all that subjectivism is saying. It's what makes the moral claims true is the opinion or the preference of the utterer.
Yeah, and see,
So you're,
that's what is.
you're going about it. Is it like? Is it?
Oh, you're cutting out, David.
That's
Right
the
here,
issue.
what if the observers were society and society decided the baby eating brain things was okay? Would you say that was good then?
I would say it was not good, but that's only because when I say it's not good, it's indexed to my preferences as the utterer. I would disagree.
Right.
But saying that it's not good is defining an objective moral.
Look,
You may not agree with it, but you cannot say that it's wrong.
Yeah, like Jim.
yeah.
Like, that's
So,
not-
servant, do you think that stomping on babies is good?
No.
Okay, what if everyone in the galaxy disagreed with you? Would you still have that feeling?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
so-
the definition of objective morality.
No. Would you say that what makes it true? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that like Jim sort of went over this with you in the sense that like when you were talking about the objective, right, and then you're talking to someone who might be a subjectivist,
Yeah.
right? Nothing like it's trivially true, right? That it wouldn't make it objectively like moral, right? Under a subjectivist view, it would still be a subjective moral, but it's just trivially true, right? That like when you're using objective in the sense, all you're really saying is that hold on, sorry,
Like I have a preference for it or something.
sorry.
Yeah. No, so I mean what I'm saying is that if you say something is not right or that something is right, that in and of itself is a statement of moral objectivity. If you are a relativist, you cannot say that something is right nor is it wrong. You can say that you disagree with it.
Yeah, but
But
do
at
you
the end
do you
of the
agree
day,
that
not
like
say that it's wrong.
utilitarianism exists and threshold deontology exists and like I don't know the what is it the like don't impose the involuntary imposition of will, like those positions exist and those all try to answer the question of what does it mean for a moral statement to be true or false?
I would believe that utilitarianism is real. I haven't really looked into.
Okay, but to
more-
believe that utilitarianism is real is to say that morality is not objective because there exist at least two systems, gods and utilitarians, that can operate and make truth claims about morality.
No, I believe that utilitarianism has actually corrupted people and devalued people, and I believe that the earthly utilitarianism has contradicted God. But I do also think that it is being practiced, especially in the U.S., where we see that people are getting paid not a whole lot of money, and people are barely being able to survive. But who is thriving, right? The ones that have declared what utilitarianism should be.
Look, it's just
Right?
so. Do you agree that like let's go back to starburstism, right? Do you agree that like I don't know, like putting somebody underwater for 10 hours without letting them breathe, would that be moral or immoral under our starburst morality code?
Under your Starburst morality
Yeah.
code, it would be immoral.
Yeah,
because it
right.
doesn't
Why?
because it doesn't bring about red starburst.
Right. And the because there is important. Why do I think that holding people underwater for 10 hours without letting them breathe is wrong? That's not what's important. Because I have a preference against people unaliving by my hand or something. That's what's important.
Yeah, but again, if it's relative, you cannot definitively say whether something is right or wrong.
Yeah, but Jim tried to address this also. Do you think that the phrase "pizza tastes good" can be true or false?
I mean, yeah, that's a relative opinion. Yes.
Okay. Just like what if like 2 + 2 = 4?
Morals are also relative opinions in the world of relativity. And
Yeah.
you cannot implement any sort of law like the starburstism.
Yeah.
Because it's all relative. If I believe not to believe in starburstism, I can do whatever I want, and I'm not incorrect.
Yeah, but all we're saying is that if somebody is a relativist, for you to look at them and say you're incorrect about your preference is to say that somebody who thinks pizza tastes good is incorrect about thinking pizza tastes good. It's just a non-starter if your goal is to change their mind.
Well, no, and this is the point that I guess I'm not making the point well enough or something, is that relativism of morals is like the destruction of moral absolute. Oh my God. So just because you agree that something is right or wrong, you cannot definitively say that is right or wrong. So you have to look at the story of the Mustache Man and, Stalin and all these other people, and you cannot say they are wrong.
Yes, you can.
No.
Well, look, servant, I'll show you in your own words how you can. I'll show you in your own words. Listen, servant. Remember when you said if everybody in the galaxy thought that stomping babies was good, you would still think it was bad?
Uh-huh.
If everybody agreed Mustache Man was good, you could still think he was bad, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm done with this guy. Somebody else can have a turn.
But it's an objective stance. Like I don't know what you're getting about this. Is that if you define...
You said you couldn't say he was wrong, and then you said you could say he was wrong. That's a contradiction. I'm done with this guy. Somebody else can go.
No, I'm saying the issue here is
just that servant just thinks that morality means stance independent or objective, which is strange in its own right, but it's also strange because his morality isn't that.
There just isn't a universal standard.
Right or wrong is a moral absolute. So if it is relative, you have to remove the moral absolute of right and wrong.
So remember like an hour ago, like before I took my kid to get a haircut, Just Jim asked you what begging the question was? Like, do you know what that is?
What begging the question was?
Yeah, I think I was about to go inside. I took off my headset, my earbuds. Did
begging
you,
the question, internal critique.
Refresh me what he was talking about.
Begging the question is when, like, you say something that someone would only accept if they already agree with what you're saying. So when you say, well, it's not morality because it's not objective, well, like a person who disagrees with that would just ignore what you said there. But you need to give a reason why morality can't be understood as an anti-realist understands it. Just saying, well, if it's not objective, then it's not morality is just a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah, and again, that's that's where I explained we're all made in the image of God, right? So, and again, this is the issue that we run into, is that without the idea of being made in the image of God, right, there is no reason that we should give each other value, no matter what, right? Because if there is a God, if there is a creator, and we were made in his image, why in the world would it be okay?
Well, you're actually making that a little harder on yourself. Now you have to substantiate God first to defend the realist position. Usually realists want to get away from defending God and use more of a secular argument for realism.
Yeah, except for at the end of
also when you say there's no reason to value human life or something, no reason there just means that you just don't have a good imagination or something. I can think of many reasons to value life.
No, again, if you say something is right or wrong, that is an objective moral. And if there is no God and we're all just going to turn to fertilizer, why should I not do whatever I can do to get the most amount of dopamine dumps and rushes in my brain while I'm on Earth until I just go and turn to fertilizer one day. Like, why shouldn't I do that, even if that includes devaluing or harming other people?
I think you're understanding the question wrong, because when we get to the point of meta-ethics, it's already assuming that we hold a normative view, and it's just saying, where does that come from? So it's not going back and saying, well, like, I should do whatever I want to. It's saying, like, we'll say we agree with the same normative view, and then it's just the question of where do we get that view? And you're not really giving an answer for that.
Oh, okay, and this is where I've asked, where do you get your view? You've said it's relative, and then gone on to tell me that you can define what is right and wrong. But if it's relative is literally the removal of an objective morality.
Yes, but if we were trying to fight for an objective morality, that would be a checkmate. But we're just trying to get you to understand the concept. What makes something right or wrong in a moral sense under an anti-realist view or a subjectivist view is the stance of the mind of the utterer.
Again, so it's subjective. Which, again...
So why is subjective morality wrong?
Can I jump in here real quick?
Why is it subjectively wrong? Because there are people...
Hold on.